Moringas, in the mood of the Rainbow Festival, I'll be telling you a story about when the rainbow was a river. Many years ago, in the heart of Kenya, the rainbow was a river, and it was set deep in the woods of Mbedede Kingdom. And all the people of Kenya would come to this river to enjoy its water. And something very unique about this river is that it contained magical powers. It had healing powers to whoever went there was sick, would either wash himself or herself with the water or drink its water and would get well. One thing about this river, didn't like people who are badly behaved, people who would throw things into the river. It didn't like that. Children loved at this time about the river is that its banks had ice cream. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet colored ice cream. And the children loved the ice cream. And one day an old woman from a faraway land came into the kingdom seeking where the river was, because she had wounds on her skin and she had heard that if you washed yourself in the river, you would get well. And so when she came, she found these guards who would guard the river because no one was allowed to misbehave around it. And so this woman looked suspicious, and the guard didn't have good thoughts about her. And the guard directed her to where the river was. And when the old woman got into the river, she was so amazed by the beauty of the river. And the water was flowing so calmly and gently. And she stopped so that she could look at the water. And she sat by the banks of the river, just admiring the beauty of the river. And beside her, she grabbed a stone and threw it into the river. And ripples formed around the river. And this lady just enjoyed and thought, how about if I throw a log? And she took a log beside her and threw it into the river. And this time, the river did the same. The water bubbled up, and the lady enjoyed this magic of the river. And she thought to herself, it's about time I wash myself. And so she got into the river and washed her skin, and all the wounds that was on her skin cleansed completely. And you know what else she thought? If I drink this water, I might end up living forever. And what she did, she thought of throwing herself into the river. Remember, the river didn't like badly behaved people, because it was for everybody to share and to enjoy. And so the woman thought of dipping herself, throwing herself into the river. And when she threw herself into the river, all the water rose up and went up to the sky. And the rainbow river was no more. And the old woman sat there wondering what had happened to the water. And quickly, because of the loud noise that the water made, the guards who were guarding the river came running quickly. You old woman, what happened to the river? And the guards were very mad at this old woman. And the old woman stood there shaking and said, I just threw myself into the river and I don't know what happened. All the water jumped and went up into the sky. Look! And the guards turned to look at the sky, and they saw that the river had now moved in and formed itself onto the sky. And the villagers were so sad. Their magical river had suddenly gone up into the sky. There was no way of bringing it back. But every time the river, now which became a rainbow onto the sky, it always longed for the feeling of being in the water again. And so every time it rains and it's a bit sunny, the rainbow would always come up. And people of the village, even if they were not able to enjoy the river, they were able to enjoy the beauty of the river and the rains and the sun that would come up.